Hello everyone, my name is Clara, and for Sunday school we are learning all about a man named Noah, and just some context. We learned all about him in our VBS this year and how God keeps his promises for Noah and his family, but we'll get more into that in the story. A long time ago was a man named Noah who loved and worshiped God. This faithful man who followed God's commands even when they seemed quite odd. Most of the people had become very bad. They ignored their Creator Lord, they were full of vice, laughed at God's advice, and spreading hate which God deplored. That's Noah right there, and just looking at all the people doing or not following God's commands or advice. Noah, with dread, God simply said, I decided to make it rain. A flood will swirl over the entire world and get rid of sin and pain. I'll wash the world clean. No one will be seen. Just you and your family of 8. But you'll need to embark, build an awesome ark. That means a ship or a boat. Probably more a ship since it's a lot bigger, but we'll get more into that. Immediately, don't wait. I will not ask why, was Noah's reply. I'll do as you instruct. With the helping hands of my family band, an ark we shall construct. And then there's Noah, probably with his family, his sons and their wives, as well as his wife, and they're probably praying for their meal. With pegs and boards, Noah learned from the Lord exactly what to do, what wood to prize, what shape and size. God's ship just grew and grew. You're sick in the head, the neighbors said. To build that big ship here, where will it float? That gigantic boat that you've worked on year by year. People were just doubting Noah and his big ship because I'm not sure why. They were not trusting the Lord, but Noah was trusting God that he needed to build this ship, and obviously it didn't take just a day to make a ship like any other time, but he was working hard at it, and there's a ship and those neighbors who were mad at Noah, as well as some people working on it. Then God said, my son, your work is nearly done. Your humongous ark is strong. Now search the trees and layers for thousands of pairs of creatures to bring along. So all the animals are getting on the ship by 2 by 2, like 2 giraffes, 2 ostriches, 2 zebras, 2 elephants, 2 chickens, 2 pigs. Arriving by twos, they walked, crawled, and flew. The animals from lions to mice. When God shut the door at the thunder's roar, Noah was glad for his advice. Rain caused great fright, 40 days and nights. Flooding low and high, the waters came down over forest and town, but the ark stayed snug and dry. There's some fish, and yeah, the earth just flooded with water for 40 days, and there's Noah and his family on the ark that they built. Imagine the hoots and snorts and toots of those animals, large and small. But it might have been pretty crowded that they're talking about. I'm not sure how much room for 8 people in all the animals, but 2 of each. That's a lot of animals, I would say. The lions that roared, the birds and the bees that soared, our Lord God loved them all. Because, otherwise, they were all on the ark. God stopped the rain, but the ark remained afloat for months after that. Then it hit, kerplop, upon the top of that mount called Ararat. Next, God's wind blew and the sea withdrew. Noah sent out a dove that returned with a leaf to the crew's relief, a sign of the Lord's great love. So there's a dove and Noah, and most likely the dove is being like, oh, there's land somewhere. Yeah. Noah's family at last was free and stepped out on the land quite dry. They worshiped God with praises loud as a rainbow filled the sky. God promised then that never again would he flood the entire earth. Now our faith we base on baptismal grace and the gift of Jesus' birth. Our water comes down from a Christian-based crown. God's love makes us remark, since you say so, Lord, we'll trust you, Lord, like Noah who built the ark. I think that's the end. Yeah. So that concludes A Man Named Noah from CPH, the Arch books. But just to summarize is that God keeps his promises, as we learned in our VBS of this year, and that God had to trust Noah as well as God fulfilling those promises, and he did. He kept Noah's family safe, as well as the animals on the ark for many a days, many a nights. And while the other people who doubted God were not saved, or they weren't on the ark. And we just have to remind ourselves to trust God, and so see you all next week.